So each of these five um, mahabhut or elements, akash, air, fire, water, earth, they have a composing quanta. In Sankhya philosophy, the thing that they're composed of is also the thing that our senses target, and that's where the relationship happens. For example, our ears, what's the target for the ears? Sound, shabd. And the composing quanta of akash is also sound, or more broadly defined as vibration. It's its intrinsic quality. And if you can hone in on that relationship, then you can unlock the siddhi. For example, akash is made up of vibrations. If you could see what akash was composed of, like yogis say, they say it's composed of the tanmatra we call shabd. And if you look at it from a scientific perspective, first you have just vibration, right? And that vibration is what composes akash. Then you have individual particles that hit each other. From that vibration, particles are created. And that yogis will call the sparsh tanmatra, and from that you get air. Then after the particles are hitting each other, once they hit each other, they can create energy. And that a yogi will call rup tanmatra, which composes the fire element. And then after particles are able to hit each other and then release energy, they can also cooperate using different energy levels and then start to flow. And that the yogi will call ras tanmatra, which composes, which is what allows for the water element to be. And then once they're flowing, they can actually aggregate. The particles can stick together and make solid surfaces, and that a yogi will call gandha tanmatra, which composes the earth element. And so any sound vibration or any type of vibration, even though you can't hear it anymore, because sound as it propagates will lose energy and you can't hear it, but it has left an imprint in akash some way. That's what the yogis believe, and they've been able to use this theory and produce results from it using their siddhya. Okay. So what can be accessed if you can do sanyam on akash? What's the possibility here? Well, you can hear anything that is said in space or in time. So if something is really far away, because remember, akash is instantaneously connected. It doesn't have to travel anywhere. Space itself doesn't have to travel anywhere. It's all already there, connected. And if you wanted to listen to something that was far away, you can hear it. If you listen to something that was closer, you can hear it. If you wanted to listen to something that was said many years ago, because the imprint is there, you can hear it. So there is the possibility of actually having a live transmission of what Buddha would have said, what Krishna said, what any of the gurus had said, what Jesus had said, what Muhammad had said when he spoke the Quran. And so it has this potential to hold everything, because everything is born of akash, dissolves back into akash. So it's kind of that infinite potential is there in akash. And even science, when we think of a vacuum, when there's no air, fire, water, earth, then there's just empty space. But when scientists study vacuums, they say it's not actually empty. It's filled with interactions that are so minute in size, but so minute in time interval that it's almost as if nothing is happening. And one of the areas that they discovered that actually empty space has a lot of things happening was right at the edge of the event horizon of the black hole, where the gravity is so much that these minute reactions that were happening, like let's say in empty space, two particles were being created at such small time intervals that it really doesn't even matter. But if they were created right at the edge of that horizon, one would be sucked in by the black hole and one would remain outside. So they were able to decipher that actually empty space is not that empty. There's things happening in it. And if we define this, empty space holds absolute potential and yet acts as if it holds nothing. And this is exactly how God is too. Holds absolute potential, is the reason why everything we see, do, we are, is happening, yet so subtle as if it's not even there. Right? You interact and you think, okay, where is God? You look inside, where is God? Is it even necessary to even define a third element here and call it God? Is it even necessary to have it there? Yet it's the thing that is doing everything and acts as if it's doing nothing. Right? So it's very similar to Akash. And it's capable, one thing Swamiji was hinting at here is Akash is capable of transmitting all types of vibrations, right? If you think about the other elements, they're a type of vibration, different types. It's capable of transmitting all of them. Our ears are capable of hearing just one type. But we've created machinery that is capable of hearing other types. For example, television sets and your cell phones are capable of picking up different vibrations that are spread out in Akash or traveling through it. So a couple of examples that Swamiji gave of the Siddhi. One is an accidental example. A woman had gotten into a car accident and she had suffered some brain damage. I don't know if she had a physical contraption that had lodged in her brain. I'm not sure. But what ended up happening was she started complaining that she could hear sounds and noises all the time. And they wouldn't stop. First, the doctors brushed it off as, okay, that's just, you're making stuff up in your head. But then eventually they were able to figure out that what she was hearing was actually what was being played on the radio. So instead of picking up the frequency of sound we pick up, she was picking up the frequency that the radio was emitting. But the only problem was she couldn't turn it off. A yogi, when they gain a siddhi, they can willingly turn it on and willingly turn it off as well. Another example of this was when you read the Gita and you start off reading it, you realize actually there's somebody sitting in a room who is transmitting all of the information that is happening on the battlefield to someone named Dhritarashtra who's blind. And his son is on the battlefield and everything is happening, so he wants to know what's happening. So a person named Sanjay, he's sitting in a room with Dhritarashtra and he's relaying all of the things he's hearing and seeing on the battlefield. Everything Krishna is saying to Arjun, everything Duryodhana is saying to Bhishma Pitama, how confident he feels about the battle, how the conchs are sounding, whose conch was louder, who played the conch from the Pandav side and the Kaurav side. And he's saying this all to Dhritarashtra. And that's actually what's being written as well. And this is happening because he has the siddhi where he knows the relationship between Akash and sound, and he can transmit that sound to Dhritarashtra. Even the possibility exists that there are hidden rags. So in the Indian system of music, there are certain notes when put together in that upward and downward trend, and certain combinations that are inherent to a system. That system is called a rag. And there's something inherent to that, a collection of sounds inherent to that rag that produce different emotions and different powers. And these can be unlocked. So Tansen was a famous singer, and he was able to produce rain out of singing a rag. I think it was a rag Megh or something of that kind. And he was also able to produce fire from rag, I think it was rag Deepak, not sure, right? And not even that, but to discover a new rag. All of the rags that have been discovered have been by people who have done sanyam on sound. But all of this requires a shant man. And what Swamiji was mentioning here is, when we read Yoga Sutra, Patanjali never reveals the intimate details of how these siddhis are actually practiced, just as to show you that these things are possible. But it's only in the vicinity when you're one-on-one with the master and you're staying at a place that is dedicated to your elevation, that your energies can rise, that the master will give you. Okay, this is how you practically do it. This is how it's actually done. But the master also gives you vivek of your ultimate goal. It's never beyond the master to give you a siddhi and then also not remind you that this is not your ultimate goal. Or if a siddhi comes to a seeker by himself, by herself, then the master is there to tell them that if you have this power, then as a gift, give it back to God. Go take your gift and place it at the feet of God. And don't take ownership of it that way. If God wills you to use it for the benefit of society, then you'll know when to do that. But for now, focus on your actual goal, which is enlightenment. Otherwise, there's a chance that a person can become yog prasht. Yog prasht is basically when you're so close to enlightenment, you've done so much of the work, but one thing distracted you and you went sideways, and that particular lifetime where enlightenment was a possibility, it didn't happen, so we call that person yog prasht. And that person will have to take birth again, and they won't have to do as much work as they had to do in previous lifetimes, but again they'll have to start off from the place they left off and continue their journey. Krishna talks about this, yog prasht. He says if somebody does actually become yog prasht, then it takes usually one more lifetime, but a maximum of 2 or 3, depending on how large the distraction was.